That's weird. Hello, lovelies. Hello, hello. How is everyone? I keep thinking that we're live, and I'm sitting here talking to myself, and so on the YouTube dashboard it'll say go live, and I clicked it, but if you're streaming through software, it just kind of has a disconnect, and if it doesn't work, it won't go live. So I was just sitting here talking to people that didn't exist. I don't know what's my deal. Retrograde. One thing about retrograde is that technology breaks down. And I have heard nothing but complaints about YouTube crashing at night, or StreamYard crashing, or lives disappearing, videos disappearing all day long. Which I knew would happen. That's the way of it with these retrogrades, right? So I was looking at the Harmony Montgomery case. Nothing really new except for that they upgraded charges. Instead of, I think it was deception of welfare, something like that. They dropped that one and then charged her with a felony count of theft by deception, excuse me. So it was like acts of something that she had, acts of deception of welfare fraud. And now it's a felony charge. And then 2 misdemeanor counts of welfare fraud. Awesome. So these are just trumped up charges to get, I think, to get her to confess. And I bet you they might drop those or use them for her benefit, at least to you know, discuss options on where is Harmony and all that stuff. So I haven't heard anything outside of that. However, there is some drama with Harmony's mama. Lord help her. I feel so bad for her. I am in a Facebook group that we share ideas because a lot of people aren't really comfortable going on YouTube with Harmony's case, because I think it has to do with law enforcement and DCYF in New Hampshire really putting their foot down on not getting sideways with this case. Like, they're not having it. So I think people got the message very clearly through that conference that they did when this first began. But this poor woman is going through her own DCIF case with her youngest one because of all of this and probably other things. But the boyfriend, Joe whatever, is blasting her like the true narcissist drug addict that he is blasting her in all of these Facebook groups and making her look awful. I mean, just because she isn't paying attention to this man. Can y'all believe that? Hello, Squid. Hello, Lip Locked. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm just glad whoever is here. That's where you're meant to be, wherever you are. So let's go look at that. I want to show you how bad this is. And to please, if you have an addiction or have any issues with drug addiction and custody, let this be your help. Let this smack you in the face and really get you to get yourself together for your children, because even when you get clean, the people around you are going to try to bring you down. Awful. Hello, 12-step. Welcome back. All right. This poor woman. She's missing her 7-year-old daughter, who was last seen on October 2019, or maybe November. Let me try to find, maybe they might have deleted it. Hold on. I'm going to try to find what this man is saying about her. Joe Eck. Okay. No new updates on Harmony Montgomery to my knowledge, right? We all know what's going down. Adam and Kayla are arrested. Crystal is trying to find her daughter. This man that she is seeing, Mr. Joe, listen to what he says about how she is acting and behaving right now because her daughter's missing. Listen to this. He says, Crystal, Renee, sorry, you have been treating me like trash and dogging me every day. I can't take it anymore. You lie to yourself and to the public. People don't see you for who you truly are, liar, layer, and a narcissist, also manipulator. Sounds like Adam. Wow. Which is Harmony's father. That is a true low blow. A true low blow when you have a daughter missing. Sounds like Adam. Beards of a feather flock together. So birds of a feather flock together, right? Laugh out loud. Anyway, good riddance. Good lunch with the new DCF case. Good luck. Case you have open for your son you have now that isn't mine but been covering up as if he has been so DCF doesn't take him. Well, you done it now. Guess you don't care about your son. You just toss him my way when you come over. Shit's done. Having relations is like having relations with a wooden post. No noise but a creak. Sir! Anytime I want a kiss, I have to come to you and push me away. Saying, oh, I'm busy on Facebook messaging about where Harmony is. I have no time for you. Yeah, blood's boiling, right? Not even your son, bro. I won't go as to say what you do because I'm not that guy. Oh, you're not? I won't go as to say what you do because I'm not that guy. Just know you lost something by going your way with your Haverville friends and family. I don't even care what that. Whatever. I have all threats they send my way. Please, no one has a car. They ask for money for gas. They can't afford it. Truly can't believe I tried to better things with us when Isaiah, her son, was born. Guess you had other intentions. And when Harmony was reported lost, not before you really turned the switch off of our relationship. Glad I don't need to prey on the system for my benefits. Enjoy your life. Shit, at least I got my own. Just needed a girl who was there to ride or die, basically. Whoo, Lord. Help me. All I need is money, hee-haw, weed, and all I need. I don't need scariness. She had her friends calling her not once but twice to DCF. You think for no reason? Stop to remember that. Whew. And this is just something that he does. He, bombards her and attacks her all the time. And calls her the narcissist and calls her a manipulator. Can you believe this shit? He also said something else that I want to find for you guys. So that if you hear all of these rumors about Crystal Sorey, who is Harmony Montgomery's mother, I really want you to take it with a grain of salt and be easy on this woman. I have talked to her. I am in talks with her. She comes from a hard background, guys, just like a lot of people who are recovering addicts are. There's a lot of things that people don't understand. It's a lot different than, Dawn and Candace Wells. It's a big difference because even though she didn't have full custody of her, this guy took advantage of her when she was still recovering or in recovery and trying to recover and got pregnant, which happens to girls who have been mistreated and abused by their baby daddies. Adam Montgomery is a perfect example. Do you think he's an outstanding citizen? Absolutely not. He shot a guy in the head over drugs. And then DCYF placed Harmony in his care. People are attacking the wrong people. So I just wanted to go over this right now because, again, there's really no huge updates. They are searching for Harmony Montgomery still. There isn't any new tips that I am aware of. But he kept saying these things like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have popped off like this. And then in the same hand, we'll go and say, tell Crystal to stop her bullshit. And then say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I said that, but I said what I said because I'm hurt. And she won't respond to him now, which I told her, please do not. Stonewall his ass. It just pisses me off how bad this guy has been towards her and Harmony. So if you hear things about her mother, Crystal's story, please take it with a grain of salt and do your research first. Because this guy has been on the news for robbery. He got caught with a home camera trying to rob someone. He has crashed his car from being on dope and fell asleep on the job with the car running. Okay? Do your research. Always, always. But yes, I am in contact with Crystal. She is trying really hard to find her daughter. She's doing everything she can to get justice where she can. Oh, really, Lynn? That's crazy. It's a different world up there in the states, northern states. Kayla knows, guys. Let me tell you something. Kayla knows. Adam obviously knows, but Kayla knows. Mark my words on this. I'm going to play a little video that I made for Harmony. Let me know if you can hear it. But I want everyone who knows somebody that knows somebody about Adam and Kayla, I want them to see this. The ones that are protecting them, I want them to see this. Let me know if you can hear it. If you can't, can y'all hear that? That music? Let me know. Let me know if you can hear that. Perfect. All right. Gonna play this because I'm going to broadcast this live and trim it and all that stuff, and then I'm gonna use this as a ending. So might as well play it for you now. But anybody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody relating to Adam and Kayla, even though they're in jail or prison, if somebody feels bad for 2 seconds and that means that they can tell us where she is, I'll play this. I'll share it.
Mistakes, so stay drunk till the year ends. Hallucinate, you see her face and praise her like a godsend. Father, does it kill you to see what we were put through by her? Bottom of the deep end, covered in a cold sweat, burns slow. Where can you run?
know. They know damn well where she is. They know. And it's getting to the point now, guys, where I don't know in the year 2022 how parents think that they can get away with their child missing. If anybody's watching this and you think for a second that you're going to get away with hurting a child in this day and age, you might be able to get away with it for a little bit, but it will be very short-lived in this day and age. There is no turning back. There is no turning back the web sleuthing. This will be here. So you might want to think about it, or you'll have a Dawn and Candace Wells situation. Check on your friends who have kids who struggle with addiction. Check on your friends who have mental illness problems. Check on those people, your family members, who you would never suspect would do something. Always keep your connections close when it comes to babies. It is your responsibility. Absolutely, it is your responsibility to check up on your family members and your friends who have children who struggle. Hell, who even don't struggle. All right. So, Lena Keel. I wanted to just go over something that I found interesting about San Antonio police. Where was it? Oh, I did click on it. No new leads. However, the community is very tight. Muslim community, Middle Eastern culture, they are very close. And they kind of remind me of web sleuths, right? Without the crazy. In their country, I learned that they, as family members, take it upon themselves to not only get justice, but leading up to that justice, they are way more extreme than Warren Betty. The law does not have any bearing when their child is missing. You know, and so, of course, we don't need to be extreme, right? We need to be respectful within the confines of the law. However, there is nothing wrong with being passionate. Nothing is wrong about being passionate for finding children. Not even a little. The only thing that makes this case different with Lena is that the community forces law enforcement. I mean, when I say money is nothing to this community, they are throwing $100,000 for any help. They don't care who it is. They don't care. And that's a wonderful incentive. We have to, you know, we don't have $100,000 even for summer. I mean, it's getting close, but it took 7 months. This was happening in the first few days. Or first week. We need to learn from this community on how important it is to force law enforcement to do their job in the most respectful way and be involved every step of the way. I don't see Dawn and Candace doing that. I obviously didn't see Adam and Kayla Montgomery doing that for Harmony. Michael Vaughn, a little bit different case. The mother, I think, is very naive. She is pushing. But there's only so much you can do if the collective of people who are on this platform and many other platforms aren't pushing. They're not pushing for Michael Vaughn like they are for Summer Wells. We need to fix that. Michael Vaughn matters. He's been gone for a long time. Just like Summer. Focus on all of these missing children. I love Summer and I want her home, guys, but I really want people to maybe balance their energy in multiple cases because they matter too. And it's very disrespectful if you think that it's only acceptable for you to focus on Summer Wells only because it's dramatic and people make it worth watching. Viewers, not just content creators, viewers and commenters. The ones that make people come back to this drama bullshit. I'm on my oats today. I told you I had the energy. I'm here for it. Yeah, Lynn, I've gone over the press conference already a few times in my life. So, really all they said is let us do their job. And that's self-explanatory. Don't play detective. Fair enough. Now, we have a right as YouTubers and content creators to do that on a platform if it's respectful, right? But I wanted to get into, which I will soon, how law enforcement and detectives, retired FBI detectives and investigators, the different forms of how not only do they look at deception, but why they do it and why they shouldn't do it. So this is going to be interesting. What we know about law enforcement and how they do things and the way they do things have been wrong for a very, very long time. A very long time. Yeah, Lynn, I'm tired of the bullshit too, ma'am. I think we all are. Yeah, Tim Miller is awesome. EquiSearch is awesome. EquiSearch has got their hands full, so I'm actually going to be training with them February 5th. And from what I'm hearing and from what I've been told, there's not enough bodies to go out there and search for missing persons. There's just not enough people. And so, unfortunately, they can only do what they can do within the resources and the donations that they're given, Yep, Lena killed nothing much, but they are going to be expanding their search. And I have to give the Islamic community props for pushing for that respectfully. Getting that money together. Money is nothing. Family is everything. And we need to remember that and learn from that community. I don't care what your feelings are or your beliefs are. They have it right. They're applying pressure appropriately, not for clicks and views and donations. I always like to see and keep my lives open, by the way. I'm sure everyone does, just to make sure that I don't see a fucked up headline. Like the truth about the Summer Wells Marathon. I bet you that's a good live. This live? I don't know. I don't like that. That's called drama, Ziggy. Get your own content. All right, FBI. I think that this is such an interesting video. This former FBI agent breaks down interrogation techniques, and listen to what he says about what most of these web sleuths think is right, and think that just because they saw a few, ID channel documentaries, MGL said this today, I'm so over it, that they are trained to know how to do things and see things because they've seen these documentaries and had training from TV. I can't even. But listen to this guy. I'm going to start it from the beginning and turn my crypt keeper face off today because I haven't had a chance to perk up. All right, give me just a second.
One of the things that I would do to make people comfortable was I always made sure that they would sit next to the door You know, on television, you always see the suspect sitting in the corner of the room. That is third grade interviewing. Graduate level interviewing is you sit them near the door. Why? There's greater psychological comfort there.
Okay, that is very interesting, because when you look at the interview room, Chris Madonna always would sit within the corner
They
space.
had already been to
Whoa.
Hunter.
He would sit either where you would feel kind of entrapped, right? Like in the corner, and let everybody see in front of them. There's more control there. So when I was watching this FBI agent, the other one, Joe Navarro, explain this, Chris Madonna does this. He kind of does that same thing where it's open, where they feel comfortable. He did that at the watering hole too. So anyway, I thought that was very interesting. So I guess it's not third grade interviewing, as Joe Navarro just said.
My name's Joe Navarro, and for 25 years I was a spy catcher with the FBI, and I am a nonverbal communications expert. So here's the truth about detecting deception or detecting if somebody is lying. There is no Pinocchio effect. It is sheer nonsense to assume that if somebody touches their nose, clears their throat, or touches their ear, that they're being deceptive. And I think
Did you hear that? The Pinocchio effect, right? When Pinocchio's nose grows because he's lying. That there is some kind of behavior that dictates deception is fallacy. What he's basically saying, and I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, is that the behavior panel does not get it right. And if they do get it right, there's no way to prove that scientifically. I have watched the behavior panel. I appreciate and respect what they do. And I do think that there is some truth in a lie, right? Or, yeah. If you really can't prove without a shadow of a doubt that someone's being deceptive because they touched their nose or coughed or whatever, you really don't need to waste your time worrying about it, because it's not going to help spend the energy worrying about it and talking about that kind of behavior. It's not scientific.
this is the first time I'm revealing this on video. What we look for are indicators of discomfort and distress. We're not looking for deception because there is no single behavior indicative of deception.
There is no single indicator or behavior of indicative of deception. Wow. So, I don't know if that specifically means one thing during an interrogation. I'm assuming so. Obviously, because that's the title, interrogation techniques. However, he never talks about long-term behavior, repetitive behavior, like drugs and alcohol, or when somebody kind of gets close to a truth about them, they kind of go bananas, or their followers and flying monkeys goes bananas for them. So that is something that I want to talk about after the interrogation techniques. What about long-term behavior, repetitive behavior? Lynn says, why did they bring up the cornbread mafia? Red herring. We all know that. Cornbread mafia, they're a bunch of potheads. You think potheads really want to start some chaos? They're potheads.
One of my favorite stories that's in my book, What Everybody Is Saying, is of a woman that was invited to the FBI office because she was part of an investigation. And during the first 20 minutes or so that we in the FBI used to calm the person down, this individual, instead of calming down, became even more stressed, and we hadn't even talked about the case. She was biting her lip, she was touching her suprasternal notch, she was clutching at her neck jewelry. A couple of times there she was wringing her hands, and finally I said to her, "Madam, you look like you need to get something off your chest." And she said, "Thank you, Mr. Navarro, because when I parked downstairs I only had 2 tokens for the meter and the meter's about to run out." So here were all these behaviors that maybe 30 years ago people would have looked at and said, "Oh, this is indicative of deception. I mean, she's touched her nose, she's bit her lip." No, she was worried about getting a ticket because she didn't have enough coins when she parked downstairs. And as it turns out, somebody had stolen her ID. She had nothing to do with a crime. Whether we're dealing with the...
So, again, that lady was nervous and worried because of something completely outside of what was going on in the case that they were investigating. But if you didn't know any better, you would think she's hiding something. There's something that she wants to get off her chest. What is wrong? Why is she biting her lip? Why is she adjusting her shirt? Completely separate from the case that she had nothing to do with. It was because her ID was stolen, and she actually had a stressor outside of it, which was the parking meter. See, do you see how 1 or 2 things that are not based on relevance or actual truth, something that you can prove, can deviate and make you look guilty when you're not? Now look, I'm not apologizing or an apologist for the Wells. I'm just saying that we need to, in the future, learn from our mistakes with the Don and Candace Wells part, where people went wrong, which is over dramatization, not basing things on the fact, saying things, defamation of character without facts because of emotions. And these are the things that experienced FBI agents are warning us about. Because what's going to happen is we're not going to have the rights anymore to web sleuth. It's going to be freaking illegal to basically promote freedom of press. And these asshats on YouTube are trying to stop that for us in the name of XYZ missing children. No, in the name of your money, your pocket, and your fucking ego.
The honest or the dishonest, we may see behaviors that are indicative of psychological discomfort. The only thing that we can do is try to determine why we are seeing those behaviors, but not assume that they're indicative of deception, because the science just is not there. One of the things that I would do to make people comfortable was to say, look, I'm an FBI agent, we're conducting an investigation, and obviously you're here for a reason. My tone was always to go lower and slower to make sure that at a subconscious level they began to relax. What we want is someone who is calmer so that we have better recall. Remember, when we create stress, we're affecting their memory. And
say it for the people with the bullhorn in the back. Let's repeat that, shall we?
have better recall. Remember, is someone who is calmer so that we have better recall. Remember, when we create stress, we're affecting their memory. And
what did he just say? If you stress someone out, your memory, you have less recall ability. Huh, that's interesting. So do you think that bombarding people who you think are guilty, and in this case we all lean towards Dawn and Candace being guilty of something relating to Summer Wells' disappearance or leading up to, when you go and harass and demand answers when you don't have the credentials in the sense of law enforcement, or whenever you bombard other creators that have different opinions and start chaos that pushes these people to go and do that to them, or to any parent with a missing child, what you're doing is later on down the road, they can't remember shit because you're traumatizing them. Even if they're pieces of shit, doesn't matter. You're traumatizing them, and their recall will change. And you're hindering an investigation long term. Or you could. And those you're gonna have repercussions. And if you're cool with that, fine. Because you want answers right now. Sometimes the reality is that we don't get the answers that we want with the most innocent things on this earth, which is missing children. It's awful. It's the reality, though. The reality is that we need to stand up for children before they go missing. Not after. Where were you with your bullhorn, MGL, everybody that's bitching and thinking that they have the answers? Where were you before? Where was the community before these children went missing? It's because we don't live that way anymore. We don't live to help others be the best that they can be as parents and raise their children right. We're here to watch it all burn, living vicariously through other people's pain, because their egos can't stand it but have to go do something in the name of monetization, exploitation, because it's a drama. It's a tragedy. Tragedies make money. Tired of it. Tired of it. So is my doggy. You hear him? He said, yeah. So back to my point. You're sitting here traumatizing, and again, we know that they are pieces of shit. Or we feel that way. Traumatizing and destroying their recall memory in long term, and the people around them, like Hunter, Allie, the friends, Dudley. You're hindering an investigation. You're hindering it as we speak. And I'm calling out content creators, and I'm calling out the people who piggyback on their content. Crude AF, Blood Money, Kenny, Benny, Kitty, whatever. And everyone around them, Tiffany Marie. All of y'all. And the commenters who support them. And the subs who support them. Enough.
there she was wringing her hands, and finally I said to her, "Madam, you look like you need to get something off your chest." And she said, "Thank you, Mr. Navarro, because when I said, oh, no, somebody had determined why we are seeing the logical fears that are indicative of psychological with a crime. Whether we're fears that are indicative of psychological
Sorry guys, I lost my
discomfort.
spot.
The only thing that we can do is try to determine why we are seeing those behaviors, but not assume that they're indicative of deception, because the science just is not there. One of the things that I would do to make people comfortable was to say, look, I'm an FBI agent, we're conducting an investigation. Go lower and slower. They begin who is Paul. Remember, When we create stress, we're affecting their memory. And this is why when we have stress, we can't remember where the keys are. So we want the person to calm down, so we put them near the door and we don't sit too close to them, because when we violate space, it makes people nervous. So we back away from them, probably somewhere between 4 and 5 feet away, which is really unusual because on television, we're used to seeing people very up close. And then rather than make a lot of eye contact, which is very intimidating, what I would do is make less eye contact so that they would begin to relax. And then I would do cathartic exhales. So I would look at my notes and do something like this. At a subconscious level, the person listening to me will actually mirror that, because humans gravitate towards homeostasis. Then I begin with very...
So this is a very good point that I think Chris Madano does. He gives people space. He makes them feel comfortable. He makes jokes. That gave Candace and Allie and Hunter and everyone else involved in that interview a moment to breathe and feel normal and feel like they have a little bit of control of the conversation, which is where they slip. You slip when you try to go back to homeostasis, which is your natural state. And in Candace and Don's case, that is wheeling and dealing druggies who don't properly take care of their children, who are neglectful, manipulative, etc., etc. And there is where you're going to find the truth. Not by force. These people have been getting away. Adam and Kayla Montgomery have been getting away with bad behavior. And any suspect with criminal backgrounds get away with it because people think that it's right to force them to talk. That's not how it works. This is what law enforcement is saying. And this is where we are destroying investigations as they're going on with missing children. It can't keep going like this.
Simple things. I would say, tell me about your name. It gives them an opportunity to say, well, my father, his grandmother was named this way. And now the person is relating subconsciously to these positive things that have occurred in their life, and they're bringing it forward, which also contributes to psychological comfort.
I like that. That's what the interview room does, right? Or Chris. And people who have interviewed Candace and Dawn and all that stuff, what they're doing, even if they don't realize it, is a professional move. Saying, well, what happened? What's going on? How was your day? Tell me about that. Chris says that. Tell me about that. As if he's really interested in whatever the small talk is. There's little bitty clues there where you can learn from someone who feels at their homeostasis, their natural self. And when they're being deceptive, you can tell the difference now, because you've created that dialogue where you can now see the lies or what indicators changed, right? Miss Vixen, YouTube is the focus group for some future John Candace reality show on TV. Yeah. I mean, literally just put content, money-making content down on a plate for these assholes who cry wolf. Woe is me, look what you're doing to me and them. while they're backstabbing every one of their followers, as well as the missing children that they're talking about, specifically Summer Wells. And then they're going to laugh in everyone's face when they make a huge profit off of Summer Wells. They never cared. I care. I truly care about these missing children. My heart breaks every day. I wake up with a gratefulness to have my son with me, but fear runs through my veins every day. It hurts. I'm not on here screaming and hollering at other people because my ego needs to be right or ahead of the curve of everyone else. I don't care. What I am doing is joining EquiSearch. What I am doing is putting their names out there and interviewing the moms and the parents of all of these missing children from not just this year or last year, but 20 years ago, 15 years ago. They matter too.
So are there times when we need to create psychological pressure? That is a profound question. I don't recommend it because once you create psychological pressure, we know that it takes anywhere from a half hour to an hour to return that person back to normal or homeostasis. After doing 13,000 interviews, I can tell you, I have never seen where escalating a situation has benefited anyone.
Does that bear repeating? Does that bear repeating?
Tell you, I have never seen where escalating a situation has benefited anyone.
Take that as a retired FBI, Joe Navarro, who has done 13,000 interviews, where he has never seen where escalation did anyone any good. And listen to what he says now.
What it has done is it has derailed me as an interviewer to the point where I remember there was an espionage interview I was doing on someone that was accused of espionage. And it was a bizarre interview. It was done standing up over 3.5 hours on the loading dock of a lumber yard in Georgia. Myself and the suspect were going back and forth, and I was just getting more and more frustrated. And the man was sticking to the same story. And I was beginning to lose my patience. I had to end the interview because at that point, I wasn't thinking clearly. And as it turns out, this individual did not commit espionage. His repetition of the same story was consistent with what really happened. He didn't do it. And so this was one of those mid-career type situations where it validated that thinking once again that raising your voice, creating stress is not beneficial at all.
Wow. Okay. So when it comes to interrogations, escalating a situation can not only bring them farther away from their natural state so that you can, detect or notice inconsistencies in their story, but it can also derail yourself from getting closer to the truth by being upset or impatient. So it's a two-way street. So then you throw in drugs and alcohol, self-medication, and all that stuff with Dawn and Candace, and maybe Grandma and everybody around them too. You're really digging the grave of justice for Summer Wells. These people and these creators who feed into the wrong way of how investigators would do it. And they're not even that. They're content creators. Wow.
What do you know about those stolen jewels?
When I came into law enforcement in 1975, I was going through the Utah Police Academy, and they were teaching back then that if somebody touched their nose, touched their mouth, or coughed, they were lying. This is sheer and absolute nonsense. And they were teaching this for decades. And even when I entered the FBI in 1979, there were still misconceptions about, well, if somebody asked for a drink of water, or if they look up and to the left and then they look to the right, that they're creating or inventing an answer and so forth. And the fact of the matter is, that is all garbage. There were any number of things that we were falsely told that were indicative of deception, from facial touching to sniffing, rubbing the insides of our mouths with our tongue and so forth. Here's the downside to all of this. I looked at the 261 DNA exonerations that took place over the last few decades. And this was the initial review of these individuals who had been convicted and were sentenced to be executed. And DNA later proved that they had nothing to do with the crime. And here's what's sad. In every single case, not one police officer, not one prosecutor could detect the truth, but they all claimed to be able to detect deception.
Oh, wow. That is an amazing, to me, that is an amazing claim. That they could claim to detect deception, but not the truth. And that is exactly right when it comes to any parent out there. I remember when the Australian girl who got taken, the behavior panel got involved, did an interview on how they believe by detecting deception by their body language, if they were lying or not. And they weren't lying. But man, if you would have seen the comments like I did in some of the Facebook groups and YouTube, you would think, my God, no wonder Jesus got hung on the cross. And I don't mean to be ugly, but no wonder. It's in our human nature to shoot first and ask later. But that doesn't make it okay. Wow. What are we doing in our community of true crime? What are we doing? We're not even listening to law enforcement experts. We're not even doing that. We're just letting other people who feed our insatiable, content-driven need to be in drama to run how investigations go.
The other thing we found that was interesting from those 261 DNA exonerations, fully 25% was willing to admit to a crime just to stop the interview process. That means that those interviews where there was a lot of psychological pressure applied, where it took place over hours and hours and hours, where there was a lot of threatening demeanor, that eventually the people were willing to say, you know what, just to, I'm going to admit it, even though it's going to cost me my life. 25%. That's frightening. So every time I hear somebody
25% just went ahead and confessed to something that they didn't do to stop the interrogation. This is what I was trying to say. Just because you can go and try to crack the case open with your tactics because you feel like you can do it, doesn't mean that you should, because you could be really creating, even if they were guilty, the wrong justice, not only for, in this case, Summer Wells or Harmony Montgomery, but future missing children or future children that are harmed by someone. You're really, all of these creators, I'm not just talking about Bullhorn Betty and MGL, I'm talking about anyone who goes and tries to be detective or journalist without the credentials or the professionalism to do so are hindering investigations, and you're about to see your rights diminished when it comes to these true crime cases because of the sensationalism that people are giving it in the wrong way. Mark my words.
Out there says, oh, I can tell that they're lying from their body language. I just say that's absolute rubbish. There is no science to support it.
All right, Ralph, you want it the hard way. I can fix that too. You've got 20 years staring you right in the face.
What do you want me to say, that I did it?
We're always dealing with the human brain, whether we're dating, whether we're dealing with family members, or even in a forensic interview. You know, I tell the story of this individual in Yuma, Arizona, who immediately came under suspicion. There was a body found, and the person had been stabbed with an ice pick. Now, the only person that knew this was myself and the suspect. We found out that the victim had been in an argument with this individual named Ricky. So, you know, I go and meet with Ricky, and Ricky said I had nothing to do with it. And I said, well, that's fine. I said, well, Ricky, you tell me you didn't kill this gentleman, but if you had, would you have used a machete? And he said, no. I said, okay, would you have used a gun? No. How about an axe? No. And I said, Ricky, would you have used an ice pick? And when I used the word ice pick, which obviously somebody with guilty knowledge would respond to, his eyelids came down and he tucked his chin in. Blocking behavior, protective behavior. So I just looked at him and I said, Ricky, come on. You were seen having an argument with him, and now he's dead. And eventually he confessed. Keep in mind that nonverbal communications per se are not admissible in court. I mean, I could say that the person looked distraught, and defense counsel might ask, well, how would you know that? How long have you known the person? What does distraught look like? And I could say, well, he closed his eyes and he lowered his chin. And they could come back and say, well, that's not indicative of anything. But this is how we use nonverbals, to let me know that that which only the suspect knew affected him.
Okay, that's also a great reminder that you really have to be trained and have experience interviewing and discussing interrogatory things like that to really know if someone is lying or not, if someone is telling the truth or not, or how they're doing it. It's different for everyone. And you're only going to know by working your way up from a point of getting to homeostasis, right? Making the person not feel scared, which Dawn and Candace have that with their flying monkeys, is what I call them. I don't like it. I don't like that they have supporters, but hey, that's just the way it is. And it's a necessary evil to have, because that's exactly what investigators do. They make you feel comfortable, and they make you feel like you can tell them things, and then you slip and you get too comfortable, and then you go to step, 2 or 3, making them feel uncomfortable with their lies.
There's a certain amount of lying that we have to do to get along with each other. So we say that lying is a tool for social survival. And because of that, we're actually pretty good at lying. Most of us lie, the research says, anywhere from 3 to 5 times an hour. I hardly talk to anyone in an hour, so I don't think I find myself lying so much, but I know that if, I'm having a bad day and somebody says, "Hey, how are you?" I'll probably say, "Yeah, I'm okay," when I'm not. I think the most effective liars are the people who habitually lie. One of
The most effective liars, listen to what he says, the most effective liars are the ones that habitually lie. Can anyone in chat tell me if there is someone specifically that you know within the case of Summer Wells that habitually lies? Habitually lies. Where we have done the research to catch them in their lies. I can tell you. Dawn and Candace Wells. They are habitual liars. If they weren't, they wouldn't need so many cronies helping them through this process. And you know who else lies? By her silence, Grandmother Candace. Welcome back, Lip Locked. I'm glad you're back.
the best liars I ever ran into was a woman who was a spy. She could tell stories like no one I've ever known. They were so convincing. You would ask her a question and she would just be so fluid in her answers. And of course, she's describing something that was taking place in Germany. So it's not something that we could go and check on the next day. And she led us on for about a year. The only thing that we can do to protect ourselves from deception is what is being said and what is the proof. You begin to make an inquiry, the story begins to fall apart, or it causes a cognitive load. You know, oh, so you went to Mexico. Which airport did you land at? And then they struggle to come out with an answer. Simple questions should evoke simple answers. And when they create a cognitive load, then it's not indicative of deception, but it should certainly make you wonder, is there something wrong here? One of the things about this woman spy, who was in fact convicted 25 years.
Miss Vixen said in the comments, don't F with Kat's documentary, the two who really helped catch a murderer through online sleuthing. Both prefer to call themselves netizens, not internet sleuth or web detectives, just people who care. I agree 100%. 100%. They did things in a certain way that helped catch a murderer. There are times when we as people who care about missing persons and their families truly get the break that we need to do so. However, the big creators, the top creators and the content creators that I'm talking about, the ones that get the most clicks, likes, views, and donations, are not that type. They are not the anomaly that you're talking about, Miss Vixen. But I agree 100% with what you said. 100% agree with what you're saying.
years. As soon as we were in Germany and allowed to conduct the investigation, we could immediately see that the story was falling apart. You can either accept a story as it's being told, or you can make an effort to question it to see if you can verify it. There's a lot of myths about body language, but this one area, this area of deception, we've got to get away from this because this is no joke. You can be sued for saying to somebody, I think you're lying, when it's based on nonverbals, and you can certainly ruin somebody's life. In fact, I would
You can ruin someone's life, and you can ruin someone's life who has children and ruin theirs too, that are not involved directly. Again, I'm not saying to not believe in what you believe in with the Summer Wells case with Dawn and Candace and everyone around them. What I am saying is for the top creators and the commenters and subs to not placate and help dictate getting Summer Wells' case cold. That's what they're doing. They're interrupting an investigation that, again, could be a bigger picture. Because not only does Summer Wells matter, but all missing children who are affected by the people like Dawn and Candace, and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them out there in their county alone, not to mention the entire state and the entire country. We are ruining the community of true crime.
say anybody that says I can help you to detect deception is actually deceiving you, because there just simply is no science to support it. All we can say is we're seeing behaviors indicative of psychological discomfort, and that is as far as you can go with that.
That was an amazing video to me.
From the time we're born, we spend...
I think that Joe Navarro is brilliant. You can go watch his other videos. I highly suggest it. It's going to help people realize why FBI or TBI or even law enforcement do the things that they do, and why they don't say certain things to the public. You have to really look at it from law enforcement's perspective. And because we live in a world where sensationalism is key, every day we want to be fed something dramatic, tragic. That kind of behavior when it comes to missing children are literally going to destroy the justice they deserve if someone hurt them. And I mean every single content creator that is big right now on this platform is guilty. And I have fallen guilty to feeding into it myself. So the subscribers is who I'm really trying to get at, as well as really everyone. But the subscribers are the ones that give them the ego boost and the donations, the money, the funding to continue this. And I really, really hope that you guys as subscribers, please spend your energy wisely on who you're watching, why you're watching it, and what are you getting out of it. If you like drama, if you like feeling sideways because people are fighting each other, or that it's a soap opera. If you like it, hey, sweet. But do not think that if I see you and you come here and act like your energy is spent over here to just then backstab not only what I'm doing here, But others, I will call you out. And I will ask you to respectfully fuck off. I am not here to play games on this platform when it comes to missing children. Nope, I'm done. So, sorry, I got a lot of energy to use and to spend with this Mercury Gatorade and Venus Gatorade and retrograde. But yes, Joe Navarro, please everybody watch him. It can really change the way your mind is and how you look at these creators. Lip lock no more. I am too, sweetheart. We are all guilty of it. I have an obligation to myself more than anybody, as well as the missing children that we cover and missing people that we cover. I have an obligation to speak for them when they give me that opportunity, as I am a medium and I don't really care what your opinions or your beliefs are on it. I can't help who I am. There are things I see and hear that no one should ever have to see or hear. Especially those children and women and indigenous people and people of color that go through a lot before either they're hurt or that they're returned. It's not good. We need to start focusing on how we can prevent as many of those cases as possible. And when we find out that parents, let's just say if Dawn and Candace are in fact complicit in her disappearance or her harm, that they get the maximum sentences, that they get no breaks, that law enforcement who are complicit in not getting them locked up quicker or didn't do their job correctly, that they are held accountable, that the counties and the government are held accountable for not putting proper laws in places. These are the things that you should be concerned about, because you're only concerned when it's your children or your grandchildren or someone you love's children or family member that matters to you. That's when it really matters. God. Blood Money Keys. MGL, Andra, Olivia, Doug. Y'all could all be doing so much more than fighting each other or not waiting for a missing child to then talk about. Do more with your time too. Preventative maintenance. Everybody needs to be doing this. Going to your local governments and saying, why do we have so many missing children in fucking Tennessee and Los Angeles? Why is there so many? Makes me wonder if it's an inside problem. Almost like CPS and DCYF literally have I wouldn't say the P word, pedophiles, but predators helping these family members get away with harming children. What do you think? Woo-wee. That was a very intense live. I appreciate everyone sitting with me and staying with me and hearing me. But it doesn't stop here. This is just the beginning. If you're angry, if you want drama, let it be good drama that actually ends up with reform, law reform. If you want drama, I can give you drama. I can give you drama that may just prevent an actual tragedy, such as Summer Wells or Harmony Montgomery, from happening. I can be dramatic as I'm trying to help these poor babies that are innocent that should never have to live in any kind of conditions that they do or end up a tragedy and exploited. I can do that. I will be dramatic. Believe me, I have been that way this whole entire show. This entire life. But there's going to also be accountability and not the not so fun stuff. Accountability and where is your part in this? Okay, Lynn said something. I'm sorry. Lynn says a girl got involved in a case and got punched in the head and had to go to the hospital. She had a concussion. It's not hard to get sucked into it. When that girl got attacked, yeah. Gabus on YouTube started the craziness. Yeah. Yep. It all really leads to the fact that you could be potentially hindering an investigation, harming innocent people of the community. You have to understand that the hippie house who had nothing to do with the buildup, right, of Summerwell's missing. I wonder if their business was affected in a negative way. It's happened in other cases. But I'm sure nobody wanted to be around that shit. Hell, maybe it helped, but in some cases, businesses can be affected. People's livelihoods can be affected just by being related to someone who has a missing child. And they think that they're guilty. I mean, think about it. This is dangerous shit. This is not a game. When did true crime and when did missing children and missing persons, when did that become a fucking game? When did this become entertainment in a sense of monetization and exploitation? These people matter. And if you don't like what I'm saying, please dislike. Please unsubscribe. If you do, please subscribe. And please like. When did this become a game? Really, it's really upsetting. So if drama is the way to get monetization and all of that stuff, I'm here to play. I'm here to play. I'm here to hold you accountable, content creators. And if I just so happen to be monetized once I get to that 1,000 subs, I guess that's how it works. I'm really not sure still to this day. I guarantee you that that money will go to the expenses and the organizations. That monetization will go to organizations or multiple organizations to prevent missing children in some way, like legislation, and or finding missing children, helping the families with Christmas because they spent their last dollar trying to find their missing child. This is not funny. My grandmother was murdered in 1986. I don't think it would be very funny if someone picked up her case and they started blaming my family members. She's the victim. I would be pissed. And she didn't get the justice that she deserves. But my God, if I saw what they do to each other on YouTube about Summer Wells, I would, and it was me, a victim of a family member of the victim, I would lose my shit. I'd probably hurt somebody if it came down to it. You can only take so much. Think about it if you were on the other side of this. Spend your energy wisely on this platform, because you are literally changing the face of how true crime and the victims family members, how they get justice. And you are responsible and complicit, even if you're just a person behind a phone or a screen commenting and subscribing and donating. You are literally the collective, a piece of the collective, changing the way that justice is served. You could potentially let someone get away with it. So if it's drama that you want, hi, drama. But this drama is going to have repercussions and accountability. And all in all, it's going to help find missing children and prevent it, if I can, with legislation. Oh, Outlaw, I'm sorry. He has a cousin in the military and she's missing in action. That's awful. Love and light. I hope that she turns up, and thank her for her service. Women in the military too. It's another thing that I really want to focus on eventually this year, about reform in the military. That's one of my to-do lists. No, Lynn, I don't. I'll have to go research it before I talk about it. But all right, guys, it's 4:30. I've got to get off here and do mama stuff and accountant stuff. I appreciate you watching this live. Hopefully next time it won't be so aggressive. But like I said in my earlier live today, I got the energy and I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it wisely. It'll be a little bit more lighthearted tonight, I promise. I'll have a drink and calm down. I promise. But thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you learned something about that video. I think Joe Navarro is a very wise man. He wouldn't be so successful with his books if he wasn't, right? All right. Love and light to everybody. Be good. Drink some water. Spend time with your kids. Hug them. Love them.